Kaelseth ran system diagnostics at 0400 hours because sleep had become unreliable. The command center hummed with the particular frequency of machines straining against entropy. She touched the main console, fingers tracing the seam where an emergency patch had been welded 3 rotations ago. The metal held warmth from the circuits beneath, barely, but enough to register against her palm. Station Verith had been her command for 9 standard years. She knew its rhythms the way some people knew music. The slight delay in the atmospheric recyclers before each cycle, the faint ozone smell that preceded electrical surges, the way the gravity plating in Section 4 pulled fractionally harder than regulations specified. She pulled up the maintenance logs. Red indicators clustered across the schematic like infections spreading through healthy tissue. Backup power cells at 62% capacity. Water reclamation showing particulate buildup. The observation posts in the outer ring, dark, depressurized, abandoned to vacuum. 87 people. Kaelseth carried their names in her head, knew their specialties, their schedules. She had lost 3 crew members to transfers over the past year, reassignments to stations with better prospects, with functioning infrastructure, with futures that extended beyond theoretical rescue. No one had come to replace them. The distress signal arrived at 06:23 hours. Terim found her in the crew mess. Her second didn't speak immediately, waited while she finished the bitter concentrate that substituted for proper stimulants while she set it precisely in the recycling port. Human vessel, Terim said. Civilian configuration. Life support failing. Broadcasting distress on standard frequencies. Kaelseth felt something shift in her chest. Not quite interest. Closer to the sensation of a problem arriving before she was prepared to solve it. Distance? 4 hours at standard approach velocity. They're drifting. No engine signature. Assessment? Terim's jaw tightened fractionally. Disapproval he wouldn't voice directly. Single occupant, conscious, no strategic value. Resource cost exceeds projected benefit by significant margin. The calculation was correct. They had barely enough supplies for their own crew. Adding another mouth, another body requiring oxygen and water and food, it violated every principle of resource management she'd spent 9 years enforcing. Retrieve them, Kaelseth said. Commander, conscious retrieval protocols supersede resource considerations. She kept her voice level, Commander flat. Prepare quarantine chamber. Standard decontamination procedures. She left before he could argue. The human came aboard 4 hours and 17 minutes later. Kaelseth watched through the quarantine chamber viewport as the medical technician ran scans. The human was female, smaller than the physiological averages suggested, compact in a way that looked fragile next to the technician's larger frame. Dark hair pulled back from her face. She wore the remnants of a pressure suit, torn at one shoulder, stained with coolant fluid. She was conscious. Her eyes tracked the technician's movements, alert despite obvious exhaustion. When the technician asked her to remove the damaged suit, she complied without hesitation, standing in the thin underlayer while the scanner passed over her body. Kaelseth should have left. Instead, she remained at the viewport, watching the scanner lights play across the human's skin, watching the way she held herself, controlled despite the tremor in her hands. The technician completed the scan and gestured toward the terminal. The human approached and placed her palm against the interface. Biometric data scrolled across the screen. Name, Maya Reeves. Age, 28 standard years. Occupation, cargo surveyor. No augmentations, no weapons, no pathogens, just a human, alone, surviving. Kaelseth activated the comm. Transfer to General Quarters, Section 7. The technician's expression flickered. Surprise quickly suppressed. Section 7, not isolation cells. General Quarters meant integration. It was, Kaelseth recognized even as she gave the order, a decision that would require justification. She provided none. The first problem emerged at 1843 hours, 3 hours after Maya Reeves had been assigned quarters. Kaelseth was reviewing supply projections when the environmental alert triggered. Temperature fluctuation in Section 7, non-critical but requiring attention. The regulator controlling that section's climate had blown, a small failure in the cascade of small failures. The temperature was dropping. Section 7 housed the human whose biology couldn't tolerate the cold, her own people found merely uncomfortable. She found Maya still in her assigned quarters, wrapped in the thermal blanket, shivering with an intensity that looked painful. The human body's response to cold was inefficient, metabolically expensive. Kaelseth had known this academically. Watching it manifest, the way Maya's jaw clenched, the way her fingers had gone white where they gripped the blanket, the faint blue tint spreading across her lips, that was different. Maya looked up when the door opened. Her eyes were wide, pupils dilated. Fear response. Vulnerability recognition. "The controls aren't responding," Maya said. Her voice came tight, consonants clipped by chattering teeth. Kaelseth crossed to the environmental panel. The blown regulator was obvious, the kind of damage that required replacement parts they didn't have. She ran calculations. Human core temperature regulation, cold exposure thresholds, the specific fragility of mammalian tissue under sustained hypothermia. "You'll stay in command quarters until repairs are completed," Kaelseth said. Her own quarters maintained stable temperature. The human could share that space temporarily. Maya nodded, tried to stand. Her legs folded immediately. Kaelseth moved without thinking, training, reflex, and found herself catching Maya before she fell, arms wrapping around a body that trembled violently against her chest. Human skin felt different, softer where Kaelseth's people had subdermal reinforcement, warmer despite the hypothermia. Maya's breath came in rapid, shallow gasps against Kaelseth's neck, and the blanket had fallen. Kaelseth felt the shape of Maya's ribs expanding with each breath, the too fast heartbeat. She was acutely aware of her own hands on Maya's back, of Maya's fingers gripping her forearm with surprising strength. The scent registered, something faintly sweet, organic compounds humans secreted. "Can you walk?" Maya's nod was more determination than accurate assessment. Together they made their way through the corridors, Maya leaning heavily against Kaelseth's side. Command quarters were small. Kaelseth adjusted the temperature higher than her own preference. She guided Maya to the sleeping platform, retrieved thermal gel packs from the medical kit, placed them against major blood vessels, chest, throat, inner wrists. She demonstrated the activation sequence, watched as Maya pressed them against her skin, color slowly returning to her face as the shivering gradually subsided. "Thank you," Maya said finally. Her voice had steadied. She looked at Kaelseth with an expression that contained gratitude and something more complex. Awareness of the power differential, recognition of how differently this could have gone. Kaelseth nodded. Professional acknowledgement. But the quarters felt smaller with Maya in them. The spatial logic didn't work the same way. "You can use the sleeping platform," Kaelseth said. "I'll work the night shift." "Where will you sleep?" "Command center." "It's not uncommon." Maya's expression suggested she didn't believe this, but she didn't argue. Kaelseth left before the silence could develop into something that required conversation. The malfunctions continued. Section 9 lost gravity for 6 hours. The water reclamation system developed a contamination flag. The medical bay's pharmaceutical synthesizer began producing compounds at incorrect concentrations. Each failure revealed another way human biology diverged from station norms. Maya couldn't navigate zero-gravity sections without difficulty. Her body required more water than standard rations provided, and each failure drove her closer into Kaelseth's orbit. It became routine. Maya in command quarters, sleeping on the platform that was too firm for human spinal structure. Maya in the command center during Kaelseth's duty shifts, observing, asking questions that demonstrated surprising technical aptitude. Maya in the crew mess at mealtimes, eating rations that barely met her nutritional requirements. Kaelseth told herself it was practical. The human needed accommodation. Keeping Maya close simplified resource allocation. Terim raised concerns on the 5th day. "The crew is noticing," he said. "Special accommodation. Preferential treatment. She requires different environmental parameters," Kaelseth said. "Command quarters are most efficient." "Efficient?" Terim's tone carried skepticism. "Commander, with respect, the protocols assume discretion will be exercised according to station priorities." Kaelseth looked at him directly. "Are you questioning my priorities?" Terim held her gaze for 3 seconds, then looked away. "I'm questioning whether your judgment regarding the human has been compromised." "Noted. Return to your duties." He left, but the concern remained, lodged in Kaelseth's awareness. Attachment. The word Terim hadn't said, but had clearly implied. She attempted correction. Assigned Maya to quarters in the restored Section 7. Maintained formal protocols during necessary interactions. But Maya appeared in the observation deck during third shift. Kaelseth stood at the viewport, watching the nebula's slow collapse. She didn't hear Maya approach, only became aware of her presence when breathing registered, slow and even, close enough that Kaelseth could track the rhythm. They stood in silence. Finally, Kaelseth turned. Maya was watching her rather than the viewport. "I wanted to ask you something," Maya said. Kaelseth waited. "Why did you bring me aboard?" "I've been reading the orientation materials. I don't meet any of the criteria for rescue." The question was direct in the way humans often were. Kaelseth found she appreciated it. "Your signal indicated consciousness," she said. "Retrieval of aware individuals carries different moral weight." "And now? Now that I'm here, what do I choose?" The question carried layers. Maya was asking about more than rescue procedures, about the space they occupied together, about the attention Kaelseth had difficulty not giving. She should have stepped back, maintained boundaries. Instead, she remained still as Maya's hand rose, slowly, giving time for refusal, and touched her face. Human fingers on Kaelseth's jaw, tracing the ridge of subdermal plating, exploring texture and temperature. The touch was gentle, curious, deliberately intimate in a way that made Kaelseth's breathing shift. "Is this allowed?" Maya asked. "There are no regulations prohibiting contact." "That's not what I asked." Maya's thumb brushed across Kaelseth's lower lip. The sensation translated directly into physical response, muscles tensing, temperature rising. "It's complicated," Kaelseth said. "Most important things are." The kiss happened. Maya's mouth was soft and warm, and her hands gripped Kaelseth's shoulders, while Kaelseth's own hands found Maya's waist, feeling the curve of her through the thin uniform. They separated slowly. Maya's breathing had quickened. "Complicated," Maya said, voice rough. "Might be an understatement." The proximity alert sounded distant, routine, but it broke the moment enough that Kaelseth could step back, could remember duty and all the reasons this represented terrible judgment. Maya's expression shifted, not hurt, something closer to understanding. "We should talk," she said, "about what this is allowed to be." Kaelseth had no answer. The rescue ship was theoretical. Maya was here, warm and alive and wanted, and everything else felt abstract. But abstraction would eventually become concrete. The space between desire and duty was collapsing with the same slow inevitability as the station's failing systems. Maya moved back into command quarters 2 days later. Neither discussed the decision. Maya simply appeared during shift change with her small pack of possessions. Kaelseth nodded once and returned to her diagnostic. The crew stopped making comments. Maya integrated herself into the station's rhythms with adaptability that suggested experience with unstable situations. She learned the emergency protocols, memorized evacuation routes, started helping with minor maintenance tasks, calibrating sensors, organizing inventory, cleaning water filtration systems. They established routines. Kaelseth worked first shift. Maya slept. Kaelseth slept during second shift while Maya worked. Third shift they were both awake, often in the observation deck, existing in the same space without constant conversation. The silence between them felt comfortable. Maya asked questions about Kaelseth's people, about their customs, about the way authority functioned in their culture. "Your people don't have family structures the way humans do," Maya said one third shift. The orientation materials mentioned cohort bonds instead. "Family implies genetic primacy," Kaelseth said. "We prioritize functional cohorts, groups formed by choice and maintained by mutual value." "Do you have a cohort?" "Had, before I took command assignments." Kaelseth kept her gaze on the nebula. "Command creates distance. You can't maintain cohort intimacy with people whose survival depends on your judgment." "Sounds lonely." "Loneliness implies desire for something different." "I chose command knowing its costs." "Did you?" "Know the costs, I mean. Or did you learn them after it was too late?" The question hit something Kaelseth usually kept contained. "Does it matter?" Kaelseth asked. "The outcome is the same." "I think it matters." Maya moved closer. "I think there's a difference between choosing isolation and discovering you're isolated." after the choice has already trapped you. You're speaking from experience. Cargo surveyor. 6-month contracts, mostly solo work. I told myself I preferred it that way. Her mouth curved slightly. Then my ship malfunctioned and I spent 6 days alone thinking I was going to die, and it turned out I'd been lying to myself. Kyle-Zeth understood. The recognition was immediate and uncomfortable. What would you have done differently? She asked. I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Maya's hand found Kyle-Zeth's, fingers threading together. Maybe I would have tried being honest about wanting connection instead of pretending professional isolation was sufficient. Her thumb traced across Kyle-Zeth's knuckles. Human skin was softer, warmer. Is this honest? Kyle-Zeth asked, or another form of seeking comfort in unstable circumstances? Can't it be both? Both is complicated. You keep saying that. Maya shifted closer, body pressing against Kyle-Zeth's side, head resting against her shoulder. Like complicated is a reason to avoid something, rather than just an accurate description. Kyle-Zeth's arm moved without decision, wrapping around Maya's waist, holding her in place. The rescue ship, Maya said quietly. When it comes, if it comes, I'll have to leave. You know that. I know. So we can acknowledge that and proceed anyway, or we can pretend toward professional distance we've already violated, or we can just exist in whatever this space is for as long as it's available. Kyle-Zeth should have chosen professional distance. Instead, she kissed Maya again, slower this time, more deliberate. Maya's hands moved to her face, fingers tracing the subdermal plating, exploring the differences between them. Third option it is, Maya said. They didn't announce anything to the crew. They simply continued existing in the same spaces, and the crew adapted without requiring explicit acknowledgement. The station continued failing. Kyle-Zeth ran diagnostics, authorized repairs when possible, managed the slow triage of systems. Maya helped where she could, became one more set of hands in constant maintenance. They developed small rituals. Morning brief in the command center, Kyle-Zeth reviewing overnight reports while Maya brought 2 cups of bitter concentrate. Evening in command quarters, Maya reading technical manuals while Kyle-Zeth processed crew reports. Third shift in the observation deck, always. During the 3rd week, Maya asked about the war. The orientation materials mention it, Maya said. The territorial reformation, but they don't explain much. Kyle-Zeth had known this conversation would come. Resource conflict, she said finally. I was combat commander. Fleet operations. The work was effective. I received commendations, promotions. But effectiveness in warfare requires certain psychological adjustments. You learn to prioritize mission objectives over individual lives. Those adjustments don't reverse easily. Maya's hand found hers in the darkness. Is that why you chose command? Distance as a feature rather than a cost? I chose command because it's what I knew how to do. And yes, because maintaining authority is easier when you've already learned not to see people as requiring emotional investment. But you brought me aboard anyway. Yes. Why? Kyle-Zeth turned to look at her. I don't know. When I reviewed the scan showing you conscious, there was recognition of what it means to choose survival when circumstances argue against it. You saw yourself. Perhaps. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Her thumb traced patterns across Kyle-Zeth's palm. I think you still believe consciousness and choice carry inherent value, Maya said finally. I think you've spent years telling yourself you don't, but the belief survived. That's optimistic assessment. Or I'm paying attention to your actions rather than your self-narrative. Maya shifted position, moving to face Kyle-Zeth directly. You run diagnostics at 0400 because you can't sleep. You know every crew member's schedule. You let me stay in your quarters. Those aren't the behaviors of someone who successfully eliminated emotional investment. They're the behaviors of someone whose judgment has been compromised, or someone whose judgment is finally including variables you'd trained yourself to ignore. Maya's hand rose to Kyle-Zeth's face. What if you're not broken? What if you're just not designed to function without connection? Kyle-Zeth caught Maya's hand, holding it against her face. Your optimism is noted. I'm optimistic enough for both of us. Maya leaned forward, kissed her slowly. Take me back to quarters. It wasn't phrased as a question. Maya, I know. Complicated. Temporary. All the rational reasons we should maintain distance. Maya's hands moved to Kael'Zeth's waist. I'm proposing we ignore those reasons. I'm proposing we stop pretending this isn't happening. Kael'Zeth should have said no. She stood, pulling Maya up with her. Command quarters. Now. The shift from proximity to intimacy happened with less ceremony than Kael'Zeth had anticipated. Just Maya's hands on her uniform fastenings, just Kael'Zeth's own hands learning the shape of Maya beneath the standard-issue clothes. They moved to the sleeping platform. Kael'Zeth had expected awkwardness, physiological differences, incompatible reflexes. Instead, there was unexpected compatibility. Maya's smaller frame fitted against hers. Maya traced the subdermal plating along Kael'Zeth's collarbone. Does this extend everywhere? Structural reinforcement points. Clavicle, sternum, pelvis, major joints. Kael'Zeth caught her breath as Maya's mouth followed where her fingers had been. Nerve density varies. Helpful information. Maya's hand moved lower. How about here? The answer required several seconds. Later, they lay tangled together, Maya's head on Kael'Zeth's chest. Thank you for not being efficient about that, Maya said. Kael'Zeth felt a laugh escape. Efficiency seemed inappropriate. Agreed. Maya tilted her head to look up at her. Future reference. You noticed I said that. I noticed. Do we have a future? Beyond theoretical rescue ships? Kael'Zeth traced patterns across Maya's shoulder. We have now. Beyond that requires variables I can't calculate. Now works. But lying in darkness, feeling Maya's breathing slow towards sleep, Kael'Zeth recognized the untruth. Now wasn't sufficient. She wanted more, wanted it with an intensity that felt dangerous. Instead of withdrawing, Kael'Zeth pulled Maya closer and let herself exist in the moment. Morning brought responsibilities. Kael'Zeth extracted herself carefully, failed immediately. Maya's eyes opened, and she smiled. Morning brief in 20 minutes, Kael'Zeth said. I'll bring the terrible concentrate. The routine reasserted itself, but it felt different now, weighted with new knowledge. Maya's leg pressed against her arm during the brief carried implications it hadn't before. Tarim noticed. He waited until they were alone. Commander, permission to speak candidly. Granted. Your involvement with the human has progressed beyond professional accommodation. Correct. This creates complications. Also correct. Tarim's jaw tightened. I'm not questioning your right to personal connection. I'm questioning whether the timing allows for sustainable relationship development, or whether this is temporary comfort-seeking that will generate significant emotional cost when circumstances change. Your concern is noted. Do you have operational recommendations? Just be careful. If you've found someone who can bridge that gap, losing them will hurt, more than you're probably calculating. I'm aware. Are you? Because you're behaving like someone who isn't calculating consequences at all. He gestured, frustrated, which is good for your long-term psychological health, but devastating if circumstances resolve in predictable ways. Kael'Zeth had no response that would satisfy him. Noted, she said. Return to your duties. 3 weeks became 4. 4 became 5. The station continued failing, but slowly enough that each day felt survivable. Rescue remained theoretical, their distress signals broadcasting into void that returned no confirmation. Maya stopped asking about rescue. She just existed in the present, integrated into station rhythms. They established new routines. Maya helped with administrative work, processing reports, updating logs, managing the 1,000 small decisions. She had natural understanding of systems. Your crew is underutilizing Section 4, Maya said one evening. They were reviewing resource allocation. 3 crew members working overlapping functions that could be consolidated. Kael'Zeth reviewed the projection. The analysis was sound. Implement it. Coordinate with Tarim. You're giving me operational authority. You've earned provisional trust. Use it. Maya smiled. That's significant. For your culture, trust is always significant, especially for you. Maya moved to where Kael'Zeth sat, settling into her lap. Someone who's decided I'm worth the risk. Apparently. Maya's hands moved to Kael'Zeth's uniform fastenings. Show me why that sound tactical decision. This isn't tactical. What is it then? Desire without adequate strategic justification. My favorite kind. Later, lying together in darkness, Maya's fingers traced patterns across Kael'Zeth's chest. Tell me about your cohort. Before command. Kyle-Zeth had been expecting this. 4 others. We formed during advanced training, maintained connection for 12 years. What happened? The war, different assignments. We tried to maintain connection, but combat changes people. Our cohort was based on who we'd been before. The people we became didn't fit the same configuration. Do you miss them? I miss who we were. The current versions, I don't know them well enough to miss. Maya was quiet for several moments. I had something similar. Study group in my training cohort. 5 of us very close. Then we graduated and discovered advancement required splitting up. Did you? Yes. Told ourselves it was temporary, but careers became priority. Years passed. Her voice carried old grief. Last I heard, 2 married each other. 1 took a teaching position, 1 died in a mining accident, and I don't know what happened to the 5th. Regret? Constantly. The choice made sense. But I don't value the career I built as much as I valued the connections I sacrificed for it. She shifted to look at Kyle-Zeth. So when I say I understand why you brought me aboard, I recognize the pattern, the attempt to choose differently. Kyle-Zeth pulled her back down. You're giving me more credit for intentionality than the decision deserves. I don't think so. I think you saw someone choosing survival, and it resonated with something you thought you'd killed. The rain continued against the viewport. Somewhere in the station, systems hummed and occasionally failed. Kyle-Zeth held Maya and let herself imagine futures she had no right to plan. The communication arrived during 3rd shift, on the 39th day. Incoming transmission, standard fleet frequency, response to their distress signal. Kyle-Zeth felt her heart rate spike. Relief, yes, but also something like dread. The message was brief. Rescue ship dispatched. ETA 72 hours. Prepare all personnel for evacuation. 72 hours. Rescue meant survival. Meant her crew would be transferred to functioning stations. Rescue also meant Maya's departure, return to human space. From there, Kyle-Zeth would never see her again. She found Maya in the observation deck. Hey, you're early for 3rd shift. Then Maya saw Kyle-Zeth's expression. What happened? Rescue ship. ETA 72 hours. Maya went very still. Oh, you'll be routed to the nearest human facility. Kyle-Zeth kept her voice level, commander flat. You should begin preparing your belongings. Kyle-Zeth, I'll have Terem coordinate evacuation logistics. Stop! Maya crossed to her. Stop doing that. Doing what? Retreating into commander mode. Treating this like just another operational procedure. It is an operational procedure. It's the end of us. Maya's voice was steady, but her hand trembled against Kyle-Zeth's jaw. That's what you're saying. The rescue ship comes, I leave, and this ends, and you're already building walls. Kyle-Zeth wanted to deny it. Found she couldn't. Yes, she said. The rescue ship comes and you leave, and this ends. That was always inevitable. Knowing something intellectually and facing it in 72 hours are different, which is why implementing appropriate distance now reduces complications later. Appropriate distance. Maya's hand dropped. You're choosing to shut down rather than experience the next 72 hours together. It's efficient. It's cowardice. The word hit hard. I've spent 9 years learning not to become attached to temporary situations. This is temporary. Treating it otherwise serves no purpose. It serves the purpose of being honest about what we mean to each other. Maya's voice cracked. Of acknowledging these weeks have mattered. What do you want me to say? That I don't want you to leave? That I've become attached in ways that violate every principle I've developed? That the idea of you departing feels like... Kyle-Zeth stopped. Yes, Maya said quietly. I want you to say that. I want you to admit it hurts. And then what? The hurt is acknowledged and you still leave and I'm left managing the consequences. Or we have 72 hours of honesty instead of watching you withdraw. Or we talk about whether there are options besides complete termination. Maya moved closer. Long-distance communication exists. You could what? Rearrange your entire career to maintain contact with someone you've known for 5 weeks? Those aren't realistic options. Maybe I want to try for the unrealistic option. Maya's hands fisted in Kyle-Zeth's uniform. Maybe I love you, and I'm not ready to just let that go. The words hung between them. Love. Kyle-Zeth had no equivalent concept in her own language. Don't, Kaelseth said. Don't make this harder. I'm not trying to make it harder. I'm trying to make it real. What I want is irrelevant. The circumstances are circumstances, not absolute determinants. We have choices. Not all choices are available. I have a crew, responsibilities, command obligations that don't disappear because I've developed inappropriate attachment to a rescued civilian. The words came out harsh. Maya flinched. Inappropriate attachment, she repeated. That's how you're categorizing this. It's accurate terminology. It's defensive bullshit. Maya stepped back. You're reducing what we have to clinical language because feeling it directly is too threatening. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I'm looking at someone who found a rare connection and is now doing everything possible to sabotage it rather than admit she wants something she's not sure she deserves. You've known me 5 weeks. You don't have sufficient data. I've known you 5 weeks. I've slept in your quarters, worked beside you, watched you run this station. 5 weeks provides significant data, and you're terrified because the last time you allowed attachment, the war destroyed it. Analysis complete. Does it change that you're leaving in 72 hours? No, but it might change how we spend those 72 hours. I'm choosing to implement appropriate professional distance. Fine. Maya's voice had gone flat. I'll comply with all protocols and vacate your quarters. She turned toward the door, paused. I think you're making a mistake, but it's your choice. She left. Kaelseth stood alone, feeling the cold settle in her chest. Maya moved back to Section 7. Kaelseth processed evacuation logistics. They maintained professional interaction when necessary, careful courtesy that felt like glass. 60 hours until rescue arrival. Kaelseth worked constantly. The strategy was partially successful. Terim found her in the command center at 0300 hours. Commander, permission to speak candidly. Denied. He spoke anyway. You're going to regret this. She's leaving in 2 days. You have finite time to correct the mistake. The decision has been made. The decision can be unmade. You have 60 hours. The circumstances are clear. Sustainable relationship development isn't possible. Would be what? Honest? Human? Terim's voice carried something close to anger. You've survived 9 years by telling yourself isolation was necessary. Now someone appeared who demonstrated you're capable of connection, and instead of accepting that gift, you're retreating behind walls and calling it efficiency. The mistake was becoming attached in the first place. Terim was quiet. Then, when my cohort dissolved after the war, I told myself similar things. It took me 6 years to recognize that surviving wasn't the same as living. And what did you do with that recognition? Formed a new cohort. Required vulnerability I'd convinced myself I couldn't afford. His voice softened. Required accepting that attachment meant risk, but that the alternative was guaranteed emptiness. That's not available to me. Your position is an excuse. Command creates distance, but it doesn't require complete isolation. You've chosen to interpret it that way because isolation felt safer. Terim stood. 60 hours, Commander. Use them wisely. He left. Kaelseth returned to diagnostics. 48 hours. Maya appeared in the command center during second shift. I need to discuss my exit processing, Maya said. Professional tone. Terim is handling civilian evacuations. He said I needed commander authorization for special circumstances. What special circumstances? I'm requesting assignment to the same station as your crew transfer. It would be practical. The request was logical. The underlying motive was transparent. Denied, Kaelseth said. You'll be routed to the nearest human station per standard protocol. That's 3 months further. It's inefficient. It's appropriate routing. It's you making decisions designed to maximize distance. It's me following protocol. Maya's jaw tightened. Fine. Protocol. She turned to leave. Stopped. But for the record, this is cowardice. You're choosing to never see me again not because circumstances require it, but because you're afraid. Your assessment is noted. Is it? Because you seem committed to ignoring every assessment that suggests you're making terrible choices. Maya's voice stayed level, but her hands were fisted. I love you. I'm willing to rearrange my life to maintain connection with you, and you're responding by implementing maximum distance. Kaelseth felt something crack in her chest. Don't. Don't what? Don't be honest. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Why not? It's already hard. At least acknowledging it is honest about what we're losing. We're not losing anything we were entitled to keep. Temporary doesn't mean disposable. Maya's voice finally broke. We had 5 weeks where you let yourself be something other than just a commander. 5 weeks that apparently meant nothing. There are no alternatives. There are always alternatives. You're choosing not to see them because seeing them would require risk. Maya's eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. I'm not asking you to abandon your crew. I'm asking you to acknowledge that we could try to maintain contact, that we could see where this goes. And in 6 months, when the effort proves unsustainable, when you meet someone else, Kael'Zeth's voice roughened. You'll move on, and I'll be left having invested in something I knew was temporary. So your solution is to prevent it now, to make the ending happen on your timeline. Yes, Maya laughed. Broken sound. At least you're honest about the cowardice. Call it what you want. The outcome is the same. The outcome is that you spend the rest of your life wondering what might have happened if you'd been brave enough to try. Maya wiped her eyes. I'll process through Terim. She left. Kael'Zeth sat alone, surrounded by screens, feeling the silence settle like weight. 24 hours. Kael'Zeth didn't sleep, moved through the station, running final checks. She found herself in the observation deck at 200 hours, not intentionally, just arriving there without conscious navigation. She heard footsteps behind her. I couldn't sleep, Maya said. Thought I'd do one last third shift here. Kael'Zeth nodded. Maya moved to the viewport. Neither spoke. Finally, I'm leaving in 19 hours. I'm aware. And you're still committed to this plan? Yes. Okay. Maya's voice was steady. I need to say some things. You don't have to respond. Kael'Zeth wanted to refuse, found she couldn't. Speak. These 5 weeks have been the most significant of my life, not because they were easy, because you saw me, the actual me, and you let me see you back. Kael'Zeth's hands tightened on the railing. I love you, Maya continued. I know that's a human construction you don't have framework for, but it means I value your existence beyond any tactical calculation. It means I would rearrange my life to maintain connection with you if you let me. Maya, I'm not finished. Her voice stayed gentle despite the tears. I understand why you're doing this. I understand the fear. I understand that the war taught you attachment leads to loss. I understand you've survived 9 years by keeping everyone at distance. She turned to face Kael'Zeth. But you deserve connection. You deserve to be loved, not for your strategic value, but for who you are. And I'm offering that. I'm offering to try despite the distance and complications. I'm offering to be vulnerable with you if you're willing to be vulnerable back. Kael'Zeth felt something breaking inside her chest. I can't, she said, voice raw. I can't do what you're asking. Can't or won't? Both. Neither. I don't know. She turned away. You're asking me to be someone I'm not. Someone who can sustain emotional investment across distance. I'm not built that way anymore. You want this? The question was quiet, devastating. Yes, Kael'Zeth said. I want it. I want you. I want the impossible future, but wanting and capability are different variables. Then learn. Let me help you remember. And when I fail? When the distance proves too much? Then we'll have tried. We'll have been honest about wanting each other. Maya moved closer. I'd rather try and fail than never try at all. Kael'Zeth turned back to face her. Maya stood there. Small, human, impossibly brave. 19 hours, Kael'Zeth said. Tell me how this works. Realistically. Maya's expression shifted. Hope, carefully controlled. I accept assignment to the station closest to your crew transfer. We establish communication protocols. Regular contact, we plan visits, we see if the connection sustains. And if it doesn't, then we adjust. But we try first. You're willing to rearrange your career for maybe. I'm willing to rearrange it for you. Maya's hand rose and touched Kael'Zeth's face. Tell me you don't want this. Tell me honestly. Kael'Zeth covered Maya's hand with her own. I can't, she said. I can't tell you that. Then what can you tell me? That I'm terrified, that this violates every principle of self-protection I've developed, that I don't know how to do this. She pulled Maya closer. That I want to try anyway. Maya's arms went around her neck. Probably both catastrophe and salvation. Helpful assessment. I'm very helpful. Maya pulled back to see Kael'Zeth's face. 18 hours. Can we spend them not fighting? Kael'Zeth kissed her, desperate, uncontrolled. Maya responded with equal intensity. Command quarters, Kael'Zeth said. Now. They barely made it there. This was different than before. Less exploratory, more desperate, driven by awareness of time running out. After, they lay tangled together. I'm still terrified, Kael'Zeth said. Good, me too. What if I'm not capable of maintaining this? Then we adapt. We don't have to solve everything tonight. We just have to agree to try. Kael'Zeth pulled her closer. 1 call per week. Reassessment after 1 month. Possibility of visit after 3 months. That sounds like negotiating terms. I'm more comfortable with defined parameters. Maya laughed quietly. Fine, we can have terms. They lay in silence. I'm going to miss this, Maya said. I'm going to miss you. Maya shifted to look at her. Say it again. I'm going to miss you. Your presence. The way you argue with my defensive mechanisms. The way you make me want things I'd convinced myself I didn't need. That's progress. Don't get used to it. I have 17 hours to extract more honest emotional admissions. They used them deliberately. The rescue ship arrived precisely on schedule. Kael'Zeth watched it dock, feeling the mechanical thunk through the station's superstructure. Maya stood beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. Terim entered. Commander, evacuation sequence initiated. Estimated completion 3 hours. Acknowledged, proceed. He left. Maya's hand found hers. 3 hours, Maya said. Yes. I should join the processing queue. You should. Neither moved. Finally, Maya turned to face her fully. Say goodbye now. Here. Kael'Zeth pulled her close, holding on with intensity that probably communicated everything she couldn't articulate. Maya's arms went around her neck, face pressed against her shoulder. I'm going to try, Kael'Zeth said quietly. I'll probably fail frequently, but I'm committed to attempting it. That's all I'm asking. Maya pulled back to see her face. I love you. I'm going to keep saying that. I value your existence beyond tactical calculation. Prioritize your well-being independent of strategic benefit. Would rearrange significant portions of my life to maintain connection with you. That's beautiful. Very clinical, but beautiful. Maya kissed her one final time. First call in 4 days. Confirmed. And Kael'Zeth, don't retreat. Don't let the fear win. You deserve connection. Remember that. I'll try. Maya left then, joining the evacuation queue. Kael'Zeth watched her go, feeling the absence like gravity shifting. She forced herself to remain in the command center, monitoring evacuation progress. Terim returned an hour later. Maya spoke to me before boarding, asked me to ensure you maintained contact protocols. Said if I noticed you withdrawing, I should intervene. She's presumptuous. She's perceptive. He looked at Kael'Zeth directly. Don't waste this. Someone willing to love you despite your defenses. That's not something you'll find again easily. Noted. Is it? Because I'm watching you do the commander face routine. Your concern is appreciated. It's required because you're my cohort bond, even if you don't acknowledge it. He softened. She's right. You deserve connection. The final personnel boarded 90 minutes later. Kael'Zeth performed the commander's duty, standing at the airlock, offering formal acknowledgement. Maya was near the end of the queue. When she reached the airlock, she stopped. 4 days, Maya said. Don't forget. I won't. Thank you. For bringing me aboard. For letting me see you. For being brave enough to try this. Kael'Zeth nodded, unable to speak. Maya embraced her. Brief, fierce, inappropriate for formal ceremony. Then she was gone. The rescue ship separated, engines engaged. It gradually diminished to point of light. The station was silent, empty. Her communication console chimed. Incoming message. Maya Reeves. Maya's face appeared on screen. Hey, I know it hasn't been 4 days yet, but I wanted you to see that I'm already breaking our protocols. Consider it proof that I'm committed to the messy reality of connection. Kael'Zeth found herself smiling. Message received, she said. Protocols are already under revision. The first month was difficult. Kyle-Zeth had been transferred to administrative position at Fleet Headquarters, desk work, resource allocation, strategic planning. No crew to command, just reports and meetings. She hated it, but Maya made it bearable. They maintained contact, irregular at first, then settling into pattern. Video calls twice per week, text messages daily. Maya had taken the surveyor position at the transfer station. She described her work, her quarters, her growing friendship with another surveyor named Kess. Kyle-Zeth listened with complex emotions, relief that Maya was settling well, jealousy that other people saw her daily, fear that distance was eroding what they'd built. "You're doing the thing again," Maya said during their 6th call. "Retreating into your head and convincing yourself this isn't working." "I'm not." "You are. I can see it." Maya's expression softened. "I'm not going anywhere. This is hard. The distance sucks. But hard doesn't mean impossible. What if I'm not capable of the work required? Then we'll discover that together. But you don't get to decide it's impossible preemptively." Kyle-Zeth found herself smiling. "You're very insistent. I'm very motivated. I told you I loved you. I meant it." The calls became essential. Kyle-Zeth structured her days around them, treating them with the same priority she'd once given to critical station operations. It wasn't enough. The calls were good, but they highlighted the absence. Kyle-Zeth wanted physical presence, but it was something, proof that attachment could survive separation. Terim visited during the 3rd week. "You look better," he said. "Less haunted." Flattering. Accurate. "When you first arrived, you had the expression of someone who'd lost essential component. Now you look present." "I'm maintaining contact with Maya." "I know. I've seen the schedule blocking." He smiled. "It's good. Watching you invest in connection. It's terrifying. Of course it is, but it's working. You're functioning better than you did during your last 3 years at the station. I'm still not good at it. The vulnerability. I catastrophize constantly. But you're doing it anyway, that's what matters." Terim's hand found hers. "I'm proud of you. Don't make it sound noble. You're learning. That's all anyone can ask." The conversation stayed with Kyle-Zeth. During her next call with Maya, during moments of self-doubt. Learning, not succeeding perfectly, but learning. Maya noticed the shift. "You seem different today. More relaxed." Terim said something useful. He pointed out that I'm learning rather than failing. "Terim is very smart." Maya's expression warmed. "And he's right. You're doing amazingly well. The fact that you're still trying, still showing up, that's success." "I miss you," Kyle-Zeth said. The words came easier now. Constantly, specifically. "I miss you too." Maya's smile was gentle. 3 more weeks until my first break. We're counting down. 3 weeks feels very long. Then let's make it shorter by filling the time deliberately. Tell me about your day. Actual details." Kyle-Zeth laughed quietly. "That's very mundane content." "Mundane is good. Mundane builds intimacy." And Kyle-Zeth found herself talking. About administrative tedium and policy discussions, about the reality of her life. Maya listened, asked questions, made comments that demonstrated genuine interest. It was exactly what she needed. Not grand gestures, just consistent presence. The accumulation of small moments. 3 weeks until Maya's visit. She could survive 3 weeks. Maya arrived on schedule. Kyle-Zeth waited at the transport terminal, trying to manage nervousness. Maya appeared in the arrival gate, smaller than memory had preserved, but definitely her, expression shifting to genuine smile when she saw Kyle-Zeth. She crossed quickly, dropped her bag, wrapped her arms around Kyle-Zeth's neck. "Hey," she said, "miss me?" Kyle-Zeth held her. "Yes." "Good answer." Maya pulled back. "You look tired, but good. Your concern is noted. Someone has to monitor it." Maya retrieved her bag. "So, you have 3 days. What's the plan?" Kyle-Zeth had prepared detailed itinerary. Instead, she said, "I thought we could just exist together. No schedule, just time without agenda." Maya's smile widened. "That's very unlike you." "I approve completely." They took transport to Kyle-Zeth's quarters. Maya examined the space. "You've been here 6 weeks and you have 0 personalization," Maya observed. "I haven't decided if this is permanent." Or you're avoiding commitment to physical space the same way you initially avoided emotional connection. Maya moved to where Kaelseth stood. But we're working on that. We're working on that. Maya kissed her. When they separated, her expression shifted to something more serious. I love you. I needed to say that in person. These 6 weeks haven't changed that. Kaelseth pulled her closer. I don't have your language's word, but I value your existence beyond tactical calculation. I'm trying to learn what you called love. That's beautiful. Maya's hands moved to Kaelseth's uniform. Now can we address the fact that we have 3 days and I've been missing physical contact for 6 weeks? Explicit request noted and approved. Later they lay together, Maya's head on Kaelseth's chest. I've been thinking about long-term logistics, Maya said. Don't panic, just thinking. Noted, continue. My contract ends in 4 months. I could renew or apply for positions closer to headquarters or look for consultant work that allows flexible location. Kaelseth's hand stilled. You're considering career restructuring for proximity. I'm considering it because what I actually want is different than what I thought I wanted. I valued independence. Turns out I value connection more. That's significant choice, which is why I'm thinking about it. But I wanted you to know I'm planning for actual future that includes you. Kaelseth pulled her closer. I don't know what happens long term. My career progression is uncertain. I'm not asking for promises. I'm asking if you want to try for long term, rather than accepting that distance makes it impossible. Maya shifted to look at her. Do you want to try? The question required honesty Kaelseth had been avoiding. Yes, she said. I want to try. I want to find ways to reduce the distance, to stop treating this as temporary, and acknowledge it's become central priority. Even though it's terrifying. Because it's terrifying. Because you've proven I'm capable of things I thought I couldn't do. Because this is actually living. Maya kissed her. Good answer. Maya's visit ended too quickly. 3 days collapsed into departure. 4 weeks, Maya said at the transport terminal. You have leave time. We meet at the transfer station, spend 6 days, reassess logistics. Confirmed. This gets easier. We're building tolerance. It won't always hurt this much. Kaelseth held her close. Promise. Promise. Though it always hurts a little. Because you care. Maya pulled back, smiled. But that's good hurt. I love you, Kaelseth said. The words came in Maya's language. I don't have equivalent in my language, but I'm using yours. I love you. Maya's eyes went bright. Say it again. I love you. 3rd time. I love you. I'm choosing to be terrified and do it anyway. I'm choosing connection. I'm choosing you. Best thing anyone's ever said to me. Maya kissed her. 4 weeks. Don't retreat. Trust the process. She boarded. Kaelseth watched until it departed, then returned to her quarters, empty but not desolate. The communication console chimed 3 hours later. Maya's face appeared. Hey, made it back. Wanted to see your face. She paused. You said it. You actually said you loved me. I did, I meant it. I know. Maya's smile was soft. I'm proud of you, for being brave enough. It's terrifying. Good terrifying or bad terrifying. Both. Just terrifying in a way that feels important. Kaelseth paused. Thank you. For not giving up. For being stubborn enough to prove connection was possible. You did the work. I just insisted you were capable. Maya settled comfortably. 4 weeks. Then 6 days together. Then we reassess. Figure out how to reduce distance more permanently. Agreed, I'm investigating transfer options. Nothing certain, but possibilities. Possibilities are good. Possibilities mean you're planning for future. They talked for another hour. About everything and nothing. When they finally ended the call, Kaelseth sat feeling something unfamiliar. Not happiness, too complex for simple label, but something close. She was learning. Learning to exist in connection rather than isolation. Learning to allow attachment without defensive barriers. It was hard. It required constant work. It was also exactly what she'd needed. 4 weeks until the next visit. She could survive 4 weeks. Tarim found her the next day, studied her expression. She left. Yes. You're not catastrophizing. Not yet. Give me time. He smiled. You're doing well. Maintaining connection. Actually trying. I made commitment. I'm following through. It's more than that. You're allowing yourself to want this. He leaned forward. There's a position opening. 6 months from now. Tactical planning. Permanent assignment. Headquarters location. It would mean stability. Geographic certainty that would allow more regular contact. Kyleseth felt something shift. You're recommending I apply? I'm informing you it exists. But yes, I think you should consider it. You've done enough transient assignments. Perhaps it's time for something more stable. I'll consider it. Good. He stood. Don't spend the next 4 weeks convincing yourself the distance proves incompatibility. Spend them planning how to reduce it. That evening, Maya's face appeared on screen earlier than scheduled. Hey, I know it's not our normal time, but I wanted to tell you something. I'm listening. I applied for consultant position, contract-based, flexible location. It's a risk, but it would mean I could be closer to you, could build schedule around our visits. That's significant career change. But your priority. This relationship is priority. She shrugged. If restructuring my career supports that, that's the choice I'm making. Kyleseth felt emotion tighten her throat. There's a position, permanent assignment here, stable location. I'm considering application. You're considering staying? Building life that includes geographic stability. I'm considering building life that treats our connection as central priority rather than complication to manage. Maya's smile was radiant. We're doing this. Actually doing this. Planning for future. Apparently. Though it's still terrifying. Always will be a little. But we're choosing it anyway. Maya's expression softened. I love you. I'm proud of you. I love you too. The words came easier each time. 4 weeks. Then we discuss logistics in person. Make actual decisions about applications and how to structure life that supports connection. 4 weeks, Maya agreed. I'll be counting down. They talked for another hour. Then Kyleseth sat in her quarters and thought about permanent assignments and consultant positions, and the way 2 people could choose to build something sustainable, could choose connection, could choose vulnerability, could choose love, could choose to be brave enough for what they actually wanted. 4 weeks until the next visit, then 6 days together, then decisions and applications and the scary work of building future rather than just surviving present. Kyleseth found herself smiling. Small expression, unfamiliar but genuine. She had work to do, forms to complete, plans to make, life to build that included both career and connection, life that prioritized being alive over just surviving. Life with Maya in it, despite the distance, despite the complications. Life that was exactly what she'd needed, what she'd been missing, what she was finally brave enough to choose.